book the other day.
Reading a book?
Yes, it's all about civilization or something. A nutty kind of a book. Do you know that the guy says that machinery is going to take the place of every profession?
What do you say?
No.
Tomorrow night?
No.
Next year?
No.
Good. Because by me it's this way. The longer they know, the harder they yes.
Well, I don't want to be honorable with you unless it's absolutely necessary.
Time to cover all things Minnesota. It's The Take with Blois Olson on the Al Travis Show. If it's news in Minnesota, he knew about it 20 minutes ago.
My close personal friend, Blois Olson, with us today with the Monday Take. Blois, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Al. How are you?
Well, yeah, I want to ask, you did the Sunday Take. I listened to it, by the way, yesterday on the big radio network up there. Do you have a guy, when you're doing that pushes all the buttons? I think they call him a producer. Yeah.
We have a producer.
They probably wouldn't hang up on you like I do.
No, well, we all radio has some technical issues now and then. I'm not going to say we are flawless, but Josh Wheeler is the gentleman's name. He's very good at making me sound good every week. So good that he doesn't. You can't even tell that I wasn't live. I was recorded.
Wow.
And they make it all sound like I'm right there in the studio. It's pretty good.
It sure does. And again, for folks, I hung up on Blois just moments before we went on the air, and I believe I'm batting about 2 out of 3 doing that to him in the last couple of weeks, which is about my putting average as well. So I got that going for me, but I apologize, my friend. It's just you push one wrong button and Blois is gone. So
I had 7 1-putts on Saturday.
Whoa! Were you dialed in on your putter and your chipping?
In my chipping.
Was it that good? Good for you. Wow.
It was July form. So as you know, I hope I can keep it up till July.
Yeah. There you go. Give me
always work that way.
The big take on Sunday, the Sunday Take, was about the take itself. I mean, it's kind of a big deal. Not that I suppose you want to talk about it, but I do. The take has been around 15 years now. That's kind of a long time.
It is. It started 15 years ago this week. The first edition was sent out on April 26th, 2010. And the Sunday Take was a conversation between Tom Hauser, a guy I've known since 1998 for sure, maybe 1997. So 28 years. And guess what?
What?
Politics has changed a little in the 15 years since the take. And Tom was one of the first people who, when I decided, the morning take had been around for a few months. We had the 2010 gubernatorial election. And I decided I was just going to call it like I saw it. I was no longer going to have any partisan leanings. I was no longer going to be a partisan analyst. We were just going to call it like we see it. And when I called Tom to tell him that, because he wanted me to appear on his show, he's like, "Oh, what? What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, good luck, I guess." I mean, and it wasn't. He didn't doubt it. He was just surprised.
Well, let me interrupt if I can, because you're talking 15 years ago. Were you a computer geek? I mean that in a positive sense. Were you that? Because 15 years ago, we weren't using the internet like we're using now. The idea that you could come up with this one-sheeter, I presume you call it back, would take off. Did you see that someplace else? Were you on the front end of this wave?
Well, I saw it. I was inspired by a few different things. One is we had done newsletters before. We had just done them differently.
Okay.
I had a website in 1998 we launched called mnpolitics.com. Then we merged it with Politics in Minnesota, which people may remember. Then we sold that, and so there was a stretch of ideas. And so, had I not done it before, I don't know that I would have had the kind of gumption to be like, "Hey, this is going to work. It's going to be great." And then I was inspired by an article in the New York Times Magazine about Playbook from Politico. I was also, there was just context and dots, as I like to call them. There were dots missing from coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, let's do this. So I sent the first one to less than 100 people, and now we communicate. We have about 30,000, 40,000 reads per day.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Yeah.
Well, and it's a success story, but give me there had to been, I mean, that's a bad way of putting it. There must, if you were an average guy, there would have been some huge doubts. You send your first mailer out to less than 100 people, and you saw a way of making a living? You get my point? There had to have been days when it's like, holy Hannah, how far did we get into this?
Well, I think there's a couple things, Al. There was always a consulting business. This was never my full-time, pay the mortgage job, and that took time, naturally. And then second, I think that I knew that I wouldn't keep doing it if I didn't find a revenue model.
Sure.
And so I kept trying some stuff, but I had runway and I was patient. And the last thing I say a lot is, had there not been a morning take radio segment at 6:20, the morning take newsletter probably would have died early.
Sure.
Because that made me get up.
Uh-huh.
It's one thing to be like, there's no newsletter today.
Yeah.
But, there's a few people listen to radio. You can't exactly be like, I got nothing to say today.
No, that's
and
good.
So, it was a formula that has worked. I hope it keeps working for a few more years, and I'm grateful for people who trust us to give them our take multiple times every day.
And how do they do that as long as we're going to finish this commercial on this thing? I love this, by the way. I think the story, I don't know, again, you mentioned you have another job at the time. The fear factor going in with 100 people and saying I'm going to grow this into 30,000 a day now, I mean, that's just phenomenal. How does someone get on there if they're not on it yet?
You just go to thedailyagenda.com.
Thedailyagenda.com. All right, and our little announcer guy, before you come on, mentions that if it happened, you knew about it 20 minutes ago. You are pre-newsing today that Angie Craig is going to announce tomorrow her U.S. Senate run.
Yeah, I think this is kind of what our formula is. We call it a tip sheet, and the idea is, here's your tip. Tomorrow's news is going to be this. And I think when you talk about technology and the way the world works out, anybody can tell you what just happened.
Sure.
But our goal has always been very simple. We want to make you smarter before breakfast, and we want to tell you what's coming, not what happened, as much as we can. And that's what we're focused on.
So you're probably not going to give me the name of whoever told you this, but this is pretty good. This is confirmed. This is happening tomorrow. You got the inside
I know
skinny.
This is happening tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm not giving up my sources, Al.
Okay, well, I didn't try to ask, but I kind of did. So let me ask you this, then. Because this isn't news. This is more. You've been in this for 15 years. How does this shake everything up? Was this in the mix? Did the Peggy Flanagans of the world, did the Melissa Franzens of the world kind of bake that in, that this was going to be a race with her? Didn't she raise like $1.2 million last quarter? I mean, this puts her in the front spot in a minute.
She did. I think they knew. I think Flanagan and Franzen anticipated it. I don't think there's a lot of secrets in internal party politics. But what I do think is that this is the formula that the DFL open seats have kind of followed for a while. Going back to 2010, Mark Dayton was not welcome at his party's convention. He was thrown out of the DFL convention. He went to a primary, won the primary, and became governor in the state of Minnesota. Tim Walz did not get the DFL endorsement in 2018.
Oh.
So the formula has been take a moderate, run them in a primary, and they have a better chance. They tend to win the general, and I think that's what we're seeing in the Senate race.
All right, and once once the big dogs are in, once you have your sitting congresswoman in, you've got the lieutenant governor, and you've got an ex-senator in, does this field get any more crowded on the Senate side? And then what does that do for, was it CD2?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it gets more crowded Senate side for Democrats.
For that, yeah.
I think Republicans are still looking for top-notch candidates in this race. I think some of that will bear out after the legislative session, but I'm not sure. Okay. And then in CD2, it means you're going to have an open CD2 seat, and you have State Senator Matt Klein, who has already teased that he's going to run because he accidentally put up a website. You have State Senator Aaron McQuaid, who's thinking about it. You have, I think, Matt Little, a former state senator, who's thinking about it. I think you have some Republicans thinking about it. State Senator Eric Pratt, Joe Tarab, Taylor Rahm, and Tyler Kistner. I think those are the ones who are probably thinking about it, making moves. Remember, this is a very competitive House race for several years, and then it became not so competitive last time. But you look ahead, open seats, obviously, they don't come around very often, and we're 19 months away, so who the hell knows what the politics of 19 months from now is going to be.
You're the only one who thinks in politics 19 months is a long time because every day you're grinding it. Everyone else looks up and said, wow, that went by fast. We got to go to break. When we come back, I want to ask how you thought the state of the state went with the Governor Walz. We'll talk about that in just a moment with Blois Olson from the Daily Agenda. It's your morning take.
Dust from livestock buildings can be harmful to your animals and to you. Coughing animals can lead to costly vet visits and other serious health problems. Now there's an environmentally safe solution for your dust problems. It's called Dust Lock. Dust Lock can control the dust all summer long with just one application. Protect your animals and your health with Dust Lock. Learn more at dustlock.com.
Do you have a closet full of old videos, photos, slides, or films? Regain that space and preserve those memories for future generations. Visit archivinglifemedia.com or call 952-829-8018. See how safe and simple it is to digitize all your media. Gain peace of mind knowing that all those important memories will be saved and can be seen and shared again. Do it today. Check out archivinglifemedia.com or give them a call, 952-829-8018.
It's nice to know a guy that knows a guy. Al Travis.
We've got a Blois Olson with the Daily Agenda. Appreciate him being here. Blois, let's talk state of the state real quick if we can. On this program, I said it, if he went after Trump a lot, it might show us that he's probably running for governor or for the presidency. If he just spends more time talking about all the cool things and how good things are going to get here in Minnesota, if you just keep your head down and made it about Minnesota, then you'll know he's running for governor. Well, he went after Trump, I think, a lot. And then the story today is that he is, of course, looking to be governor again. So I messed that all up. Is he inkled enough to have you say he's going to be running for governor?
I think I've wavered on this, Al. I thought he was running for sure. Then I didn't think he was running. I have consistently said that it is the way in which the legislative session ends that will determine whether or not he's running for governor. If it's ugly and he doesn't like the future, then he won't. And by the way, Al, you can be right and on both topics. He can run for re-election and run for president.
Well, that's true. Yeah, okay, well, okay, maybe.
How about that, Al? Al, I gave you an out.
That'd be a home run for me, I'll tell you what. Because I wasn't trying to be mean, but I really thought, because he's been him and Hahn, or we haven't been able to tell, and he's on that little tour outside, and that's all good. It gives him all the press he needs. I don't begrudge him at all, but I thought at the State of the State, that's where we would get that inkling, where he went. But then, I think he went after Trump quite a little bit for being a State of the Minnesota thing, but he now comes out and says, yeah, I'm keeping things in place. I'm trying to raise the money to keep my options open. It sounded to me like he was now inkling that he's back to governor.
He leaned that way over the weekend for sure. I've had some inside info the last couple weeks that maybe things have changed a little.
Okay.
Let's watch to see, A, how the session ends, and B, what he does this summer once the session's over. Okay. Where is he? What's he working on? Those kinds of things. And so we'll see. Third terms are tough. And don't also be surprised if he does run for governor again, that he is not challenged from within his own party, maybe from the left.
Oh, wow. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. One last thing,
there you go.
The inside stuff that happens, and I don't know how I would have known this stuff. It was in the tip sheet this morning. Governor Walz did not invite the Minnesota Association of Professional Employees. Not too thrilled with the way they're threatening a strike. I get that, but you don't know who's not there. One thing that I find interesting since it's happened is I've had 3 or 4 members on the House and Senate that did not go to the State of the State because they just didn't want to hear the guy. Isn't who's not there also interesting? I guess I thought you were almost obligated to go if you're a senator or a House person.
Obligated might be a little strong.
All right.
What do you accomplish by not going?
Well,
yeah. I mean, it's fine. You're already in town because you're there to do your work for the legislature. So you want to go have dinner with somebody or do something different, then feel free. But I look. Everybody's got. I mean, look. It happens in D.C. with the State of the Union. So why wouldn't it happen in Minnesota with the State of the State? People. It's their own little way of protesting, and you know what, Al? So be it.
And that's fair enough. A lot of people get invited to go that aren't necessarily senators and reps. I guess I didn't realize everybody gets a ticket to that thing. How do they all squeeze in? Have you been there? You were there, weren't you?
I was not there.
Okay.
I chose not to go. I had plenty of going on. I could watch it on TV, and I was gonna go. Al, this is actually kind of funny. I was gonna go, and then I was like, no, you need a night to get organized. If you go there, you'll just go out after, or you're, And so the funny thing is, I sat on my couch. I took a little cat nap before the speech.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, when it was done in 26 minutes, I'm really glad I didn't go because it was only 26 minutes.
Whole evening.
And had I gone and done all of that for a 26-minute speech, boy, that would not have been the best use of Blois's time. There you go.
Understand. I appreciate it a ton, sir. I'm out of time. I appreciate you coming on. One last time, how does someone pick it up? And just so you know, this thing isn't just the morning tip sheet anymore. I presume that's the big dog on your block. But you guys also do the afternoon. You got a sports one, which I love on Fridays. You got an ag that I think I get twice a week. And I think health
Yeah.
is twice a week, right? I mean, maybe I'm missing something.
Ag is 3 times a week. Health
Okay.
is twice a week, and sports is once a week. And we just try to make it a little smarter, Al. And it's quick. It's a quick read.
Yeah, and anything you want to read more of, the links are all there. So, I mean, you can get as informed as you want to be. Go to thedailyagenda.com. Sign up today. Thank you, Blois.
Yeah.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease.